Good morning, children. Today our topic is surroundings. Our surroundings in connection to the life. So we observe so many living things around us, right? We observe so many people around us. Those are also living. We observe so many animals around us, around your house. You may be having some pets in your house. And you observe some other animals which are not your pets. If you come out of your house into the street, you find some street dogs. And not only that, you find some birds that are standing on the current poles. You find some other animals, some cats, some rat. So, if you look around, you can find so many animals. Along with animals, you may find so many plants. The plants that are grown in your garden, the plants that your mother grow in your house, indoor plants, the plants that are generally grown outside on the fields, on the roadsides, some weeds, so many plants. If you visit a village, you can see the plants that are grown for a purpose, that is a crop, paddy field or sugarcane field, where the plants are grown for agriculture purpose. So wherever you go, you find some life in the form of either plants or animals, right? Of course, we find the other form called microorganisms, which are very small and tiny, which we cannot see with our naked eye. It doesn't mean that there is nothing. So just you have seen into that a lump of soil, you cannot conclude that yes, this soil is not having any animals or plants. It's wrong. The lump of soil, it may consist of tiny forms of life, tiny forms of plants, tiny animals or microorganisms. So life, it exists everywhere on this planet, even at the extreme conditions, harsh conditions. So many people think that yes, we are living in our place, in our town, in our city because it is comfortable, convenient, we have all the facilities to live. If we are in desert, we may die. We may not live over there. But even in desert, even on ice mountains, even on the edges of the volcano, the life is found. Living organisms are able to live. So it doesn't mean that living things, they are confined to one particular place. They are found all over the world. They are found at so many places. Then what is the difference? There is a difference in the appearance of the organisms. The physical appearance of the organisms is different from place to place. So, if you wanted to see that practically, that you wanted to take a tour, you have planned a tour to some places. What are the places? You have chosen a place like near Himalayas. That is the first tourist spot you have selected, Himalayas. Later you wanted to go to Rajasthan, a desert. Then you wanted to go to Puri, a coastal area, Puri, beach. So here we have three places. You have planned a tour for three places that you wanted to go and see how the life around there. First you have gone to Himalayas. So what kind of plants do you observe? So if we go to Himalayas, we observe the trees. What kind of trees? We observe the trees like pine, deodar. What are these pine and deodar? These are the coniferous trees. You can see the trees are shaped like this. So you find such trees. You cannot find the trees with big canopy. You cannot find peepal tree, banyan tree, mango tree. Not that. These kind of trees are found, pine and deodar, in the similar way. So because that kind of form is suitable to that particular climate, right? So if you go to Himalayas, you know the kind of climate over there, it's very cool. Where you find the snowfall. So how it is? It's very cool. What kind of animals you observe over there? So what do you find over there? You find yak, right? You find yak, and you find Himalayan fox. So there you find animals, there you find plants, but those animals and plants, they are different from the animals and plants that we have in our place. So you have seen this diversity, organisms, plants and animals at this place, and you move to this place, Rajasthan. What kind of plants do you observe over there in Rajasthan? Can you find any pine tree? Can you find a deodar tree? No. You find some cactus over there. Cactus. So cactus, they are adapted to live in the Rajasthan. So what kind of place this is? Desert. So in desert climate, it's very hot, very sunny. So in such climate, only these kind of plants and trees can survive, not these kind. Right? So you find that variation, and what kind of animals you find over there? Camels. We find camels. I will tell you why camels can only live in desert climate. How well they are adapted to live in the desert climate. So next we have gone to that Puri beach. So you have gone to the beach. What kind of plants you can see that? There you can see that coconut and palms. There you can find coconut, palms and casuarina. So these are the trees that we find over there. And what kind of animals do we find in Puri beach? So you get the idea. I'm telling you the beach. So what kind of animals you can expect over there in the beach? You can find some crabs. You can find some turtles. You can find some fish. There will be so much fish in the beach. The fishermen, they go for the hunting into the sea and get a lot of fish. Right. So these kind of animals are found. We can write crabs, fish. So see that every place, wherever you go there, you go to Himalayas or you go to Rajasthan or you go to Puri or you go to Kerala or you go to Karnataka, wherever you go, you find the life. You find the living things. You will find plants and animals. But what is the difference here? What is the point to be noted here is that they are all not similar. They are all different. They are all there. Plants are there everywhere. Animals are there. Microorganisms are there. But the thing that we have to notice here is that there is a difference in their physical appearance or the form. So that's what we have to identify. In the desert, you can find a fox. In the Himalaya mountains, you can find a fox. But there is a difference between the two fox. Both are fox. But they have some special features that help them to live in the particular climate in their own habitat. Right? So let us see two more terms that we are going to learn now, that is habitat and adaptation. These two are very, very important. When you are studying the surroundings of an organism, you need to know the meaning of two terms, habitat and adaptation. So let's see, just we discussed that plants and animals exist everywhere, but they are different from the plants and animals that exist in our place. That means the form of plant and animal, the features of plant and animal, more exactly saying features, the features of plants and animals are designed in such a way that they are suited to their environment. They are suited to their environment, which enable them to live in the particular environment. Let us consider two situations, sea, desert. Sea is full of salt water. Sea is full of salt water. So what lives in the salt water? Fish. There are so many creatures that live in the sea, but here we are taking only one example, that is the fish. It has to live in the salt water. It has to live in the water. Fish is an animal. It needs oxygen to live. From where does it get the oxygen? It gets the oxygen that is dissolved in the salt water, that is the sea water. So the sea water, it has got the oxygen dissolved in it. The fish, it needs to get the oxygen from the sea water. Fish has got the special features. Fishes, they have got the gills by which they can absorb the dissolved oxygen present in the salt water, present in the water. So that is the special feature of the fish. It's the feature of the fish which enable it to live in the water. Right. Fish is living in the salt water. So its body design should help the fish to withstand the great pressure of water. It is in the water. The water is exerting a lot of pressure. So it has got the mechanism to withstand the pressure. Right? Just if you soak in salt water for some time, it's okay for being for 1 minute, 10 minutes to half an hour to 1 hour, 2 hours. But if you stay in salt water for hours together, 6 hours, 12 hours, 2 days, 3 days, what happens? What happens? Just you see that. You put your hand in salt water for such a long time, duration. So what happens? You get dehydrated. The water present in your body is sucked out. You know that diffusion and osmosis concept. Right. So you cannot stay in the salt water for a long time, but fish is staying in the salt water. So how? Because its skin and scales are helping not to lose water from its body. So that is the special feature, right? So the fish is gaining some special features or habits which help it to survive in the particular environment, right? Here the environment is sea. The fish, they have the special features. They have the streamlined bodies to swim in the water. They have the fins. They have the sharp finned tails, so by that they can make movements in different directions. Right. They have gills to get the dissolved oxygen from the water. So fish, they have some special features. To live in the special condition, that is the sea. In the same way, let us see the second one, desert. Here we find the cactus. So the cactus is a tree that is adapted to live in desert. It's not like a normal tree. If you go outside and you see in the plains and coastal areas and plains, you find a tree like this, but it's not a such tree. You see the stem, it is thick and succulent. The stem is storing the water. Where are the leaves? The leaves are turned to spines. That is to reduce the loss of water. The stem is thick and it is storing the water. You can see that these are called as special features. Special features. Now let us talk about one desert animal. Let us talk about a desert animal. Let us just assume that this is a camel. So this is a camel. So the camel is well adapted to live in a desert. What are the special features of it? So if you see the camel, it does not sweat. No sweating. Why it does not sweat? Because the water is less in the desert. If it sweats, it need to drink more water. But is the water available in the desert? No. Desert is a place where there is a scarcity of water and rainfall. So there is no availability of water. So the camel cannot get the water whenever it needs. So it should not get dehydrated. So no sweating in its body. Right. And it has got very long legs. You can observe the legs of the camel. They are very thin and long. So why do they have long legs? They have long legs to keep the body away from the ground because the ground is radiating the heat. So desert is a place where the soil is very hot, the sand is very hot. So the heat of the sand is radiating. It may touch the body if the body is close to the ground, but the legs are very long and they are keeping the body up away from the ground, so heat is not reaching their bodies. So long legs also help the camels to live in the desert. And one more is drinks very less water. And the other one, it urinates very less, and even its stools are very dry, so it don't want to lose or throw away any water. So it has very less urination, right? It does not urinate frequently, very less urination. That means it loses very small amounts of water from its body, and it can stay without drinking water for a very long time, and it can control its metabolism, its internal body reactions to run for a longer time without the water, right? So it has got a hump in which the stored food that helps to maintain its strength for a long time. So without feeding and drinking, it can walk for long miles. That is all the features. These are all the special features of the camel. So the plants and animals that are living in the sea, they have some special features. The plants and animals that are living in the desert, they have some special features. The plants and animals that are living in Himalayas, snow places, they have some special features. So what we are going to tell now, what is our point here? So our point is that living organisms, they can live in any condition, any kind of environment, right? So organisms, they live in a particular place. Where the organism is living, that particular place is the habitat of that organism. So camel is living in the desert. Desert is the habitat of camel. So here we have come to the word habitat, the place where an organism lives naturally, that is its habitat. If somebody asks you what is the habitat of camel, you can say the desert. Somebody asks you what is the habitat of fish, water. So the place where an organism naturally lives is called its habitat. So all the organisms, to live in their habitat, just to live in habitat, they will be developing some special features, or they possess some habits to live in that particular habitat. That special features, having or possessing such special features, is called as adaptation. Adaptation. So here you see that you may get wondered, wow, here there are no leaves to the cactus. What happened to the leaves? The leaves are turned to spines. It's a special feature. Yes, you can recognize it is a special feature. So where is the stem of this cactus? It is turned to a thick, succulent, fluffy, watery, flat shaped organ. There you can find the stem, how it turned to. That is a special feature, right? So showing such special features to live in one particular habitat is called as adaptation. Okay, so in this particular topic, habitat and adaptation, we are studying about the living place of the organisms and what kind of special features they possess to live in the particular habitat. So we have seen what is a habitat and what is adaptation. Now, to understand this better, let us verify some habitats. Let us observe some organisms or animals or plants living in that particular habitats. So by that we can better understand how the adaptations in animals or plants help them to survive in that particular habitat, right? So here we can broadly classify the habitats into two categories. The first one, terrestrial habitat. So that is any plants or animals that are making life on the land or coming under the terrestrial habitat. The terrestrial habitats are further classified to forests, grasslands, deserts, coastal regions and mountains. Whereas the aquatic habitat, the plants and animals that are making their living in water are coming under the aquatic habitats. So some of the aquatic habitats are ponds, swamps, lakes, rivers and oceans. So now let us see what sort of life is there in each and every habitat. That's what we have mentioned here. So before we go and see what is explore each and every habitat that we have mentioned here, we say a habitat consists of two things. In a habitat we find biotic things, abiotic things. When you call a particular place, a surrounding, a pond is made up of living and non-living things, biotic and abiotic. So biotic is the living thing, that is the plants, animals and microbes. All these three together constitute the biotic. Abiotic factors. So they are not the living things. Abiotic things are the temperature, humidity. So all the other factors, the physical factors, they come under the abiotic part, right? So when you are referring to a term habitat means not only the living things. Habitat means not only the place, it's the place with the things that are living in that place. You call it the habitat. So now let us explore some habitats, the kind of animals that are living in the particular habitat and the special features, how they are able to make their living. So come to the first one, desert animals. Already we discussed about the desert, plants and animals. There we learnt about the camel. In desert, not only camel, there are certain animals like rats, desert rats and snakes also live in the desert, right? Then how do they live? Desert rat and snake, how they can withstand the high temperature of the desert. So these animals, they make burrows in the soil, burrows. So during the daytime, the surface of the desert is heated up because of the sunlight. But whereas if you go beneath the surface, it will be cooler. Cooler in the sense, compared to the surface, the bottom is a little cooler. So these animals, they make burrows, tunnels into the ground, and they go deep into the burrows and they live there during the daytime. If they stay in the burrows, how do they get their food? So they come to the search of their food in the nights. So night time, the surface of the desert will be cooled down. So these animals, they come out of the burrows in the night and they go in search of their food. Whereas the other animal like camel, I already told you that the camels, they have got very long legs, so which keep up their bodies away from the heat. It has got a lump, it does not sweat, it loses very little water. So with all these features, it's able to make living in the desert. So in the plants, cactus, I told you. So if you see the cactus, this particular part of the cactus is not the leaf. Generally it looks like a leaf, but it is the stem. The stem is modified. The stem is succulent. The stem holds the water. The stem is green in color. The leaves are reduced or modified to spines. Actually, the spines are the leaves. Why the leaves are modified? All these modifications are to reduce the loss of water. So all the efforts are to reduce the loss of water. If it is not reduced, the water is lost from the plant and it gets dehydrated very soon. But it is not happening. Why is not happening? Because there are some modifications, some adaptations. What are they? The stem, it changed like a succulent leaf-like structure. The leaves are modified to spines. So by that, there is a minimal loss of water. So the water is restored in the body of the cactus plant. So by which it can make its living in the climatic condition like desert. So there is cactus. Now let us go to the second terrestrial habitat, that is the mountain.